If you would like to learn how Melissa from Brick and Mortar Visibility overcomes adversity, jump to the 16-minute mark of this video. It's great stuff. Welcome back, everybody, to Clicks and Bricks. Today is October 15th. I'm super excited about our guest today, Melissa from Brick and Mortar Visibility. But before we jump in and get her on the episode, we need to drop the line for our sponsor, Inlink.com. Rapport made easy. My Inlink.com account is inlink.com/Ken. So on all of my social media profiles, I don't have to put a whole bunch of different links on there. I can just give you that one URL, and you have access to my TikTok, my Twitter, my Cash App, my LinkedIn business, and my LinkedIn personal, and all of my other social media profiles. It's a really nice place to have an aggregate of all of your different social media profiles. But let's jump right into the podcast today. Chris, can you bring in Melissa? How are you doing today, Melissa?
I'm doing so great. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. I'm really excited about your business and about your story, really, and about how you got there, and for the visitors to know about this. So I believe what you're dealing with right now is you have a dance studio, and now you're helping, and you branched into, I don't want to call it business coaching unless that's what it is. I think it's more, a little bit of business coaching, but more about online, really in line with what Clicks and Bricks talks about, being online and having your brick and mortar business. So I think you're a great fit for today's show. But so that people can stop hearing me just babble along about you, can you tell us a little bit about how you got started and a little bit about your journey?
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure and a joy to share a little bit about my story. Feel free to cut me off whenever and ask questions. But my name is Melissa Rose. I grew up in Wisconsin on a dairy farm, as cliche as that sounds, but that was my foundation, which sprung me into a great work ethic and being resilient, and that is the story of my life. I started my dance studio 3 weeks after baby number 3 in 2008, literally out of my home, just to get some sanity. I had 3 kids under 5. If anybody can relate to that, they know that that's intense. And I was a stay-at-home mom. So I was a freelance dance teacher right out of college. But then in 2008, decided to try it out of my home. It worked, and it worked for me. And I did that. And then in 2015, my husband at the time walked in and asked for a divorce. And at that time, we had 5 young children, ages 11 down to 2. And that's when I had to figure it out. I had to get really real and decide, am I going to get a real job, which I never really had. I was an actor, a choreographer, a dance teacher, but my main job was a stay-at-home mom. Or am I going to...
And pause for a second, because you said real job, and I just want to say traditional job.
Okay.
Because what you're doing now is real, right?
Okay, thank you.
Let's not discredit what you've done by not calling it real. But
I'm sorry. You are right. Because working is so much easier. My kids are home from school today, so just keeping it real there.
Yeah.
I decided that, you know what, I'm going to make this side hustle work for me. And however, I'm a 4 on the Enneagram, for those of you that understand that. So I'm this creative. I'm going to do things a little differently all the time. And I didn't want to get the commercial space. I didn't want to manage the people. I didn't want the overhead. I wanted to make this work out of my home. So I got resourceful, and I did a lot of learning. I made my van a university and listened to all the books and all the podcasts I could on how to scale my business. And I started packaging up curriculum and started selling it online. I realized that I had some content that I could then package up and make an online membership for my dance studio, and had some success with that. And that's really how I learned how to cut my teeth in online marketing. And
this is in 2015, right? This is way pre-COVID.
Yeah. This was 2015 into 16 and 17. So right in those 2 years is when I really started to understand and get a grasp of online marketing. And that's when I built my email list. And that's when I started blogging and doing all the things, and getting up on stages and talking about my curriculum and doing that. And people started noticing and asking, what are you doing? You're doing something different than anybody else. And that's when I started realizing, there's something here with helping other brick and mortar businesses bring online aspects into their business to help grow their marketing, help grow their visibility, help grow more people coming in the doors, versus just plastering something up on social media, having more of a strategy behind the scenes and creating systems to make that easy for them. So I, in 2020 though, I bit the bullet and got a commercial space, 3,000 square feet.
For the dance studio though, right?
Yes, for my dance studio.
Right. Okay.
In 2020, January. And I started my podcast January 2020. It was looking great. Life was good. We were going to crush 2020, and then COVID hit, and we got resourceful again. Thank goodness I had Dance on Demand, so I had that there for my people. I knew how to work Zoom. I knew how this worked, interacting with people. I wasn't like just thrown into it.
Right.
But just like all brick and mortars, it was a tough time, and a lot of people. So
right. Because although we got so this is important, and this is for new business owners, because I went through not exactly what you went through, but very similar situation. Can you talk a little bit about how you approached your landlord? Because like a lot of business owners, you had a lot of fear about, I can't commit to this brick and mortar. And then we had an event like COVID, which hopefully this is the only event like this we'll see in our lifetime, right? When we as we're progressing out of this state of fear from COVID, right? Because we're getting the pills and stuff like that. So we're adapting to this new virus in our life and how we deal with it. But a lot of business owners are afraid to do that brick and mortar. And can you tell a little bit about, we went into a pandemic and things got really bad. How did you approach your landlord about rent abatement? And for what people if you don't know what rent abatement is, they're going to not charge you rent for some period of time. You're not going to have to take that cash flow out. Mm-hmm. Can't really do it with electricity and internet bills and things like that, but rent is something you can do, and it's something you have to ask for. So can you tell us a little of your story about how you negotiate with your landlord in a time of pandemic like we just did?
Absolutely. And I'm going to say that starts right when you sign your lease, is having that communication and respect and relationship. So right from the get-go, when I signed my lease, I sent that email because I didn't work with my landlord. He had a broker. So I worked with that broker until I signed the lease. So then I introduced myself to my landlord. My landlord lives in Seattle. I'm in Wisconsin. Right. So I just introduced myself and I said, hey, my name's Melissa. I'm super excited. And I told him just like a 2-second synopsis of my story. And I'm super excited to work with you and have a very positive relationship for both of us, because I know that this is an investment for him. This is his business, part of his business. Okay. So I think it starts there, is having that connection and having that good thing go, because guess what? When we're renting, we only talk to our landlord when things are bad, right? Yeah. So let's start off good and connecting with them every year, just saying, so great, things are going. And they've been awesome about any little thing, and thankfully there hasn't been that much. So then when COVID did happen, I don't like to ask for help, y'all. I'm going to figure it out. That's just who I am. But this was something bigger than Melissa could figure out. So I had to go and just be, can you help? Can you do anything? Okay. I half rent. I didn't want to not pay rent, but at the same time, I was like, I don't know how long this is going to be. And I gotta feed my kid. And the big thing about what business is essential, I was like, hold the phone here. That was a whole other thing. I was like, wait a minute, this business is essential because I established that it was essential. And I got kids to feed. So he was lovely. I just said, what can you do? Anything is helpful. Right. And he did. He gave me a couple months and we figured out how to repay it back in the interim, and he was lovely. But I believe that was because we set up a relationship in the beginning.
And most landlords, unless you're dealing with a REIT, will just take those 3 months and extend your lease out a little bit, right? And so for me, I try to stay away from REITs, which is a real estate investment group. They tend to be harder to negotiate with. If you know your individual landlord and you have a brick and mortar, it makes life so much easier when you're not dealing with a big board of directors or something like that. They just have more leeway. You can negotiate better. And, we did this at a time of extreme crisis for the globe, but you can use that same tactic anytime, right? I mean, there's times when you have major equipment that breaks down, or, you can't go to the till every week and say, hey, I can't pay my rent next month. But when something like that happens, that is a negotiation that you can use inside your business to free up a little bit of cash flow on a month that something bad happens or something like that. So, as a business owner, you're going to get some hard times in your life. Don't be afraid to ask for the help. And it's hard for us a lot of times because people are always looking for us for solutions, right? And we're supposed to be providing them. And sometimes we need help too. And your landlord, all of your vendors are part of your team, right? Yeah. And they want you to succeed as much as you want to succeed. So, because you're their paycheck later, right? So it's important to remember in those times of struggle to just ask and tell people where you're at and what you need.
Yeah.
So,
and I was thankful for my team, my people close by, because I wouldn't have thought that I could do that. I wouldn't have thought that, I don't want to put them out either. Right. I want to be true to my word, but So Good to know. Good tips.
Yes. Fantastic. All right. So that's how you got to where you're at today. Do you have any other things you want to tidbit about the founder story? Things like specific stories that you had to overcome anything, or, what got you to, obviously very difficult time in your life, going through a separation, 5 children, and making this decision. A lot of people would say that's insane, right? You probably had a lot of naysayers like, what are you doing? Go get it. My entire life growing up, my dad was like, oh, just get a factory job, boy, and go to work, do your 9 to 5 and get your pension and retire. Those were not my cards. But how do you deal with the naysayers and and the biggest naysayer is somewhere in your own head, like, oh my God, am I going to fail? How do you shut that voice up and keep moving forward?
Isn't that the truth? It's the voice in your head that's the worst and the loudest.
Yes.
And don't get me wrong, there's some people are fueled by those haters, they're like, okay, fine, I'll show you. And I wish I was that person. I'm not. I'm more hard on myself than anything. So, and yet I could tell you, no, you got this. You got this, Ken. If anybody can do this, you can do this. You're going to step up. You're going to figure this out. But then there's me like, oh my God. I think there's new level, new devil, right? That's what my mentoring coach says. And, in the divorce, that literally was just get through it. There's a reason we're divorced. So it was, I don't know, the people that can do a nice divorce, God bless them, but this was hard. And so getting through that, like there were people in my circle that didn't even know I was divorced because I had my blinders on and I was going. Then you get through that. I think COVID, I was just like, okay, I can do this. And COVID just was one of those that it just kept getting extended. So that's where the just stamina of that, right? I ran a marathon shortly after my divorce. I'm not a runner, but for some reason decided to pick up running as kind of a therapy thing. Right. And that marathon is such a great metaphor, like to physically do a marathon and to physically go through the training and just one foot in front of the other and just keep going. And you're going to have hard days and you're going to feel great some days. That's life. That's just life. And yesterday or Tuesday this week, I think I had one of the worst days in business ever when I'm like, what else could go wrong? Right. Team members are dropping and wanting to drop. And I'm like, whoa, out of left field. So just, okay. And you have a pity party for about 30 seconds. And then you figure this is part of running a business, babe. Okay. This is what you signed up for. And on the days like today, on Friday, when we're done and for our day after this and ready for our weekend, or, when I'm home Monday and Tuesday with my kids and I have my team taking care of the business, those are the days that I'm really very thankful.
Right. And that's important. I don't know who said it, but I like to use this analogy sometimes. Running a successful business is it operating when you're not there and being profitable when you're not there. Right. So I know I was talking with one of the kids that I'm kind of mentoring right now, and he said something about he hates working for places that you never meet the boss. And I told him, well, for me, I'm always going to be in the trenches. I don't know, at some point I might get to an ivory tower, but I just love the trenches so much that's where I like to live and that's where I like to stay in both of my companies. So I think it's important, especially for brick and mortars, to have owner aware, maybe not owner operated, but at least owner aware of his business, right? I like to tell people, if I walk into a business, I can tell you if the owner is present or not present just by walking into the restrooms, right? That tells me really quickly, is the owner involved in that business or is he completely absent? And if the bathrooms are super clean and the owner is absent, that means he's got some amazing process in place to keep that going. But I digress anyway. So,
I love that.
Yeah, so that's, I think it's important for, especially if, anywhere below 2 million revenue, I think it's really, really important for the owner to be involved on a somewhat regular basis. Once you're over 2 million, you probably have enough cash that you can hire, pretty good executives and people to run, and a CFO, someone that understands the finance and stuff like that. Because I know when I get there, I'm above my head in a lot of those things. So, but I still like to play in those worlds. So I have to hire people that know what they're doing there. So we talked a little bit about, what we wanted to talk about in the podcast early, and you chose a tip or trick to overcome adversity in life or business. Can you share that with the audience, something that you use personally? And you've let a couple out that I'd like to jump into. I don't know if it's on this podcast or next, but the new level, new devil. I love that saying. I'm going to adopt that and steal it from you as well and use that in the future. But can you give us your tip or trick for overcoming adversity in daily life or in business? And you've had a lot of them, and now you're thriving. So that's an important story, and people need to know how to, some new, just tools in their toolbox to help them get through those times too.
I'm just gonna share a couple that are game changers for me, and I notice when I don't do them that the wheels fall off the bus a little quicker. So I am a huge morning routine person. I get up crazy early. Like I said, I have 5 kids. And I wake up 4:30 to start my day, so I have that time. Yeah, I am crazy. People say I'm crazy, and that's just, I have crazy hair. You have yet to see my hair, but it's usually really big. But I do that, you guys, because it gives me peace of mind to really just calm my brain, and then I walk for 4 miles every morning, and that's my learning time. So I take the time, have my coffee, and pray and think, and just what's coming to me, and then I walk every day. Now, I do that every single day, even on the weekends, because when I don't do it, I notice it.
Right.
So that is my one thing. And you don't have to do it crazy early, but I started doing it really early, especially in 2015 when life happened and the kids were still babies, like 2-year-olds. Okay. So I had to get up that early to just have quiet. Now it's a habit and I love it. The other thing is I am super intentional about who's in my inner circle and where I can let my hair down and just be really real with. And I have a group of I have a mastermind here locally that we connect with twice a month. But I probably have like 2 or 3 people in my back pocket that I'm like, if I need somebody to pick me up and speak truth to me, right. Those are my people. So I'm just really, and they're business owners, so they get it. Okay. So I don't ask my mom, don't ask my brother, don't ask my neighbor.
It's not even the same language that you're speaking, right? You're literally living in 2 different universes.
Yeah, they would tell me to quit 5 years ago. They would have told me to get that job and get that paycheck.
Yeah, why not just get a real job? Yeah. Yep, I hear that a lot. Fantastic. So a lot of the same mantras that we talk about a lot. One, having some kind of physical activity, meditation, mental or physical activity outside of your daily grind that is just for you. I think that's wildly important. I talk about it all the time. You're in dance and then you walk or marathons as your kind of physical release. I'm in IT, so I box at night. That's my physical mental release. That's my meditation time. And then a support group, which I don't talk about a whole lot. I have an amazing support group. I'm so fortunate to have the support group and the mentors that I've had in my life. So that's really, really important too. And the birds of a feather flock together, right? So I don't really like the BNIs and those kinds of groups, but the mastermind groups and mentor groups I think are phenomenal. I still go to the BNIs. It's mostly insurance agents is what I generally find, and that's not the flock. Nothing against insurance agents or lawyers, but they're just a different breed than what I'm trying to do as well. So the mastermind groups I like. I use I don't have a mastermind group, but I do WeConnect quite a bit to find like-minded kind of, and I go to crypto meetings and stuff like that. So and it's a good place to find like-minded people, right? Are you in a mastermind that's a paid-for mastermind, or is that a open group, like an invite-only group?
Yeah, so I do a few things like you do. So the mastermind locally, I'm surprised it works because it's a free group, and it was one woman that's invited 4 others. So there's 5 of us total.
Okay.
And we've been meeting for 2.5 years, twice a month. And I could not believe that we would keep it up, because I was like, nobody's paying here. Are we really going to keep this up?
Right.
But I'm the consistency queen. That's my nickname. So I think because they know that about me, they don't want, because I said, if this is going on my calendar, that means something else is being said no to. So I don't want to put it on unless we're going to do this for real. And everybody has shown up. It's been awesome. I also have a coach myself, a business coach, and then she sets us up in little masterminds, which is really, really awesome because that's nationwide. And then I go to a lot of networking groups as well. BNI's, I guest in BNI, so that way I can go to a bunch of different ones. And then I'm just really intentional about, like, I want to connect with that person one-on-one, and doing a lot of one-on-ones to get into their network and doing that. So, but as far as the mastermind, that's what I've been lucky there. And then I host one myself with my coaching group. So
fantastic. So how important do you think it is? And I don't have a single coach. I have lots of coaches. How important do you think it is in business to have a business coach? And then I'll backpedal a little bit even there, because this always frustrates me a little bit on business coaches that are 22 years old that have never done business. Right. So, and I don't know what that kid is really, right? I mean, he's a hustler and he wants to do great, but I've always find it really challenging to have a coach that has never, and most business coaches haven't executed at my level either, right? Or at least the business coaches that are trying to pitch to me, right? I'm like, well, you've never lost $6 million in a day, right? If you've never done that, then how can you coach me on how to overcome it? But so when you're dealing with those and you're hiring a coach, what is it that you're looking for, and how important is that coach to have inside your daily life?
I love this question because I'm actually signing on with a new coach today.
Oh, wow.
I believe it's very important. I avoided it for so many years because I was out of my home for 10 years. I did my business out of my home, and I did all the things. And I was stubborn, and a lot of it was mindset, y'all, too, because I was like, well, who's going to come into my house and teach dance? It's my house. And I don't want somebody looking at my books. And I don't, I'll just read. I'll read all the books. There's tons of stuff free out there. There's so much free stuff. Then I hired my first coach to help me bring the stuff into the online world. And not just the accountability, because I don't think I need that as much as just to bounce something off of somebody that's done it before. All right. I also want for me, I want one-on-one connection to that coach. A lot of coaches now are group coaching programs. Yeah. And I currently am in one. I love my coach currently, but it's a group coaching program. And as lovely as it is, I get this network of people, which is huge. There's value in that. That's really important. I don't get that one-on-one time with that person. And I really want that one-on-one time of somebody looking at my stuff and really going, Miss, I think you should think about this and look at this over here. And I want it more than once a quarter. Okay. So that's for me. Right. Some people want it differently. And I want somebody who's done it. And I'm like, I want to be her. I want her job. So yes. That's who I'm signing on with today. Is I'm like, I basically want your job. So.
Yep. I am currently, I'm going through a 16-week academy. That's one of those group training. There's like 250 people in this class. And it's a marketing class, and it's great. It's fantastic, but it's not one-on-one coaching for sure. And then I find on the coaching side, overcoming this, they've not been in my shoes, so how can they coach me? Maybe sometimes it's just a different perspective. For me, I lean on my mentors a lot more, and I'm lucky to have some phenomenal mentors. So I lean on them more as a coach than anything else, and I've got some really tight-knit friends. So, but it's important. If you don't have somebody that you feel like is your coach today, then outsourcing that would be, I think, right, a beneficial thing to you. If you've got a board of directors or something, or like a bunch of shareholders, you can kind of use them as a coach as well to bounce ideas off of, and obviously listen to your CFO if you have one of those. You don't need the business coach to help you with your financials if you have a CFO. But having that, goes back to support group, having a coach, and I'll just say continued education, even if it's in your business if it's mindset, skill set, whatever that is, I think it's an important piece. And looking internally to say, hey, where do I need that help is an enlightening journey that a person has to go through to hire that coach that first time, because it's not inexpensive, right? It's a commitment, right? And but we move forward. I mean, even Mike Tyson has a coach, right? He's the greatest boxer. Tyson Fury has a coach. He's the greatest boxer on the planet right now, and he still has somebody coaching him. So that's never made it to his levels. Yeah. So it's more about where you've been. It's not about where you've been. It's about how you can motivate and see from a different angle, maybe.
And back to what you said about because people will say, well, I want somebody who's been in there, who's walked the walk. Right. But there's a lot, you could go the other way. Well, not every gymnastics coach was a gold medalist Olympian to coach.
Gary Vee says a lot of times with fresh eyes or new eyes. So sometimes it's just a new set of eyes on a problem. You can go, oh, well, there's a simple solution for you. And it's, for me, sometimes I'm just too damn close to my product and my service. Right. We're our own problem, and that's why the outside. And if you don't to have mentors is huge, and you're lucky and blessed that way to have some people that can speak light to you in that way. And I'm always looking for mentors and female mentors, and that's female brick and mortar mentors like that. There's not a whole lot of those. There's
not a whole lot. There's not a whole lot out there. So that is why I invest in a coach, and when I put a little skin in the game, it amps up of it.
And a pro tip for mentors: your mentor does not have to know that you're their mentoree. They don't have to know. You can just start asking them questions and go after it, right? Not all the people that I use as a mentor in life necessarily know that that's what I'm using them for. I love them as well, right? They're part of my life, but I definitely use people as the mentor role without them knowing about it. So feel free to absorb that knowledge however you can, right? If you're in a room with smart people that have done some cool stuff, ask them questions. How'd you do that? How'd you overcome that? Right? Don't be afraid to ask them those questions, because they have the stories too, and they're wanting to tell them, right? They want to help. I've not found an entrepreneur yet that if I asked them, how did you overcome this, or how did you achieve this, that they didn't just jump for joy to tell me the stories. Yes. Right? They want to share. I've never met an entrepreneur that doesn't want somebody else to succeed, right? My wife's favorite saying is that I can't beat you or I can't compete with you because I want you to win too, right? So, and that's what I've seen in most, at least 90% of all the entrepreneurs that I've got to meet and do business with. It's hey, rising tides, rise all ships, and that's the way that we want to live our lives. So, I've got one more question for you, but before we go into this last question, you have an offer that you would like to give out to the audience.
Yeah.
Can we go ahead and throw that URL up and just talk a little bit about what it is that you're offering? And I'll let you say the name.
Yes, it is a brick and mortar visibility workshop. The only 3 visibility strategies you need in your business. As business owners, many of us are doing the marketing, we're doing the financing, we're doing the team management, we're doing a lot of things, even if we do have help. And what I see brick and mortar businesses doing is a lot of marketing strategies or different things, and making it so busy, and they're not consistent at it, and therefore not getting the results with it. So I want to simplify it for you into 3. Okay. And you only need to do 3, but you need to do them well, and you need to do them consistently. So I have this workshop coming up next week, October 21st. It's at 1:30 Thursday. You can grab your seat. It's completely free, MsMelissaRose.com/free workshop.
And is that a one-day workshop, 8 hours, 4 hours?
Oh gosh, no, it's just an hour. It's just
an
hour
workshop.
Overview of what we do, what I talk about, how I coach people. It's going to talk about the 3 pillars that I coach on, and give you ideas on how to make your life simpler, and then just kind of give you this is what I should think about.
I'm going to check it out, and if I'm available, I'm definitely going to jump in there as well. And I appreciate the offer, and I think that'd be great for Debbie, our producer, to jump into as well. So fantastic. So going on to the very last question that we have, because this is Clicks and Bricks, where we talk about business and technology. What is one piece of technology that you just absolutely love, or has helped you change your business or personal growth in a significant way?
Yeah. I think this is such a fun question. And when you told me yesterday about what people answered, I'm like, oh my gosh. And you guys, I'm not a tech person. Okay. Like when I started really taking my business seriously, I barely did email. Like I could do email, but to think that I'm doing my websites and I'm up doing blogging and podcasting and editing and I'm like, whoa. However, my favorite thing is being able to speak and then have it speak to text. So what is that, Ken?
It's speech to text. I use it. Actually, I use both directions. So I just bought speech to text. So, and I drive my staff nuts because I've got YouTube going all the time with these, the mindset videos and the motivational or cryptocurrency or something, right? Just nonstop YouTube's always playing. And I probably have a book that's auto reading to me on another window. So like it's a little chaotic in my office when I'm working, but that gets me in a really nice zone to work. So I use text to speech almost exclusively on text messaging now, where I just talk it and it goes. And I'm a huge Android guy. I think, I'll say it. I think Android's better than Apple all day long. I know that we've got Apple fans out there as well. And I think the technology on both platforms is really phenomenal today, right? And the ability to take a PDF and have it just auto play and the text to speech go in the other direction has helped me a tremendous amount, because some of my tech papers are just so boring and I gotta, hear them 4 or 5 times. So having that ability to just absorb it kind of in the background has been huge for me as well. And I've not had anybody use that as an answer yet. So that's a really good one, actually. And it's huge. I just got my wife to start using it as well, the text to speech, and she's falling in love with it, although it is a little quirky sometimes when it thinks it knows what you want to say.
I find it game changing. So I use Voxer for my team. So I'm always talking. I'm a talker. Okay. And I have to talk things out. However, there is a book in my future, and being able to speak out the book and have it go to text and then come back later and kind of, piece it together, edit it a little bit. I've heard of other authors doing that to help them get it out. And it's just so awesome. And then I'm a huge Audible girl. So I listen to everything. So yeah, speak to text is huge for me.
I finally just figured out at 1.4 times the speed is where I can listen to books. and I'm still maintaining it, but I'm getting it in a little bit quicker. So yeah. I know people that listen at 2 times. My daughter listens at 2 times. I'm like, kid, I don't know how you do any of that, right? And she gets straight A's, so I'm not going to question anything. Oh, that's
funny.
I love that answer.
Yeah, I listen to 2X as well, and my kids are like, Mom, how do you even understand that? I'm like, you just kind of get used to it. But yeah, everybody's sped up.
And then on that pro tip, where you're talking about the text to speech to help you write your book, I bit the bullet and I purchased the pro version of Grammarly. So with text to speech coupled with Grammarly, you can knock out a whole lot of stuff really, really quickly, right? Yeah. And so that's really cool. The other tool that I'm using in that to help me write is a program called Jarvis, and it's an auto AI, because I write really boring headlines and bullet points, and Jarvis automatically spices them up for me.
Okay.
Or not automatically, but I can just drop them in there, and it'll give me like 5 or 6 different variants of that sentence.
How do you spell that? Is it J or J or G?
J-A-V-I-S, I think. J-A-R-V-I-S. Okay. And I think it's Jarvis.io.
Okay.
But I'm not positive. And it's an AI bot that helps write headlines, basically. So with text to speech, Grammarly, and a bot that helps me rewrite stuff, it's a pretty powerful set of tools, right? And when you're writing that way, I think you end up being a more conversational writing, and with people listening to books more than not today, that's pretty beneficial, right? So you might knock out 2 birds with 1 stone and have your Audible version ready. If you just recorded yourself while you were saying it as well, you might be able to get both. But
I love it.
Yes. Can we throw that offer up one more time? And what are the dates for that webinar that you're doing, or the workshop?
Yep. It is next week, Thursday, October 21st at 1:30 Central Standard Time. And you can grab your free seat at msmelissarose.com/free workshop.
Awesome. Make sure you get signed up, folks. It should be a really good thing. Learn about the 3 pillars that Melissa uses to help grow brick and mortar businesses. And that's specifically online approaches, right? This is not put banners out in front of your business, right?
We're going to talk 3 different strategies, 3 specific strategies.
3 specific strategies, online or offline, or just the whole encompassing. Awesome.
Online,
Fantastic.
offline, and you. Yes.
Alrighty. If you want to join my text line community, my number is 314-370-2871. I will never try to sell you anything on that text line. I will send you tips, tricks, maybe some daily motivation, and every once in a while some NFT or crypto news, because that is one of my geekiest hobbies that I have. So that's it for today's show. Thank you, Melissa, so much.
Yeah.
Any last bits for the audience before we go?
No, just go continue shining your light.
Fantastic. Get to work.
All right.